Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Irene Yam, and we're going to be talking about her book, uh, Build a World-Class Customer Advisory Board, How to Create Deeper Relationships and Validate Strategies. Now, the acronym for Customer Advisory Boards is CABs. So you may hear us use the term CAB at some point. We're not calling for a taxi. Irene, love the book. I've actually run cabs myself,
Awesome.
and I remember a wonderful couple of days in Redwood, Oracle Redwood, with GlaxoSmithKline.
Ooh.
Irene, where can people find you?
Oh, I think it's easiest to find me on LinkedIn because my
Okay,
my name is pretty easy to find. So Irene Yam, just that.
excellent. So, Irene, thank you so much for writing this. It's a wonderful walk through what you should do and what you shouldn't do when
Yes.
you're running a customer advisory board. Tell
Yes.
me what inspired you to write the book?
Well, my husband passed away, Clyde, and I decided I wanted to do something not just full-time tech. And I thought about human connection, and we need this more than ever in business, and just with grieving and everything, but focusing on business. So I decided I'm going to write a book about it. I'm going to share the things that I've learned, the mistakes I've made, to help other people build better cabs to really connect with their customers.
Excellent. Um, so, what do you define as a world-class cab?
Well, I've thought about this, and there's five things, and it's actually not what you think, like a four-star resort. Okay,
It's just a weekend away in a hotel, isn't it? Or
oh,
and
no, it's a 1 to 2 day event. Think about like back in the day, we had focus groups and there were two-way mirrors, and we're sitting there trying to listen and understand our customers. Shatter that glass, sit in a room with your customers that are handpicked. Be thoughtful, ask questions, be vulnerable, prepare, have a mission, and make sure at the end, have an executive follow up with a customer. That's a cab.
So usually what would happen is that so what we did with GSK was that
Yes.
we took them to Redwood, Oracle's HQ,
Yeah, the
and
headquarters.
we sat them down in a room and we got senior execs to come in
Yes.
and say, this is what the future, what we're going to be doing for the next 3 years or 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do that, or you can talk about and learn from them. So I ran this customer advisory board in Australia, and here I am, an American, very eager, and I land there, and we have the slides, and we're presenting, and they say, "Wait a second, did you know about our new compliance issues coming up?" This was McCurry Bank, and we're like, "No." What came out of that was a design session. We
Right.
put our slides away. We were active listeners. They became our early design partners. They helped us make sure that EMC's storage was compliant. And then after that, they were all excited that they were willing to go around Asia Pacific and speak about their use cases. I mean, these are big banks,
Mm.
the US Postal Office in Australia. I mean, these were big storage customers willing to share their use cases. It was great. So this cab, what I'm saying is it can build a network, and also it can also fuel your stories out there in the field.
But that's a wonderful thing that you did there, which is
Hmm.
that how many people would have said, we've turned up here with our slides, we're going to give them whether you want them
Right.
or not. And the fact that you were able to turn around and actually listen,
Yes.
but then the clients were bought into the fact it was their idea, which is why they would go out and spread the word.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, and they were early, not only design, but they were beta testers. I mean, how difficult is it to get beta testers? Everyone's so busy. But if it's aligned to their roadmap and yours, you're together, you're building it together.
Hmm. So, what key factors make a really good customer advisory board?
Yes, so I have five, right? Be respectful of time. So meaning no 100 slides, no show off slides.
Yeah.
Really listen, be thoughtful, be empathetic. Go through your agenda. Is this something that a customer would like to hear? Prepare. Make sure that you have the right speaker. Sometimes there are sometimes executives that aren't really good at presenting.
Yeah.
Have somebody that's really good presenter. Have the CEO sit there and listen. That's even better. Have them chime in when they need to, right? And then the other is follow a CAB mission. Have a CAB mission. Make sure that you share that with your customer advisory board member. Why are you taking their time out of their busy life and their family life to travel to be with you? And then lastly, take action. I've been at really big organizations, and sometimes even these executives are too shy because they don't know what to say. They don't know how to say no. So I teach all this, right? I coach, I teach, and then I say, you have to be honest. And actually, people like it when you say no, no, because X, right? And then if you have a big enough org, you say, well, we could do custom engineering if you really want, or we can discuss that, right? But the answer is get back to people, follow up. The CAB is just the beginning of this really strategic, long-term relationship that you can have with your advisory board members.
I think picking up on some of those things, I think it's really important, isn't it, that you have to prepare and you have to have a strategy and decide what it is and share that with the people beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
don't you?
Yes.
Because they
Oh,
need to know
homework.
what they're walking into.
Oh, yes. If I may, so you build this agenda, what you're hopeful for, right? You have the mission, your executives. So I have these goals. I want to validate these strategies. So what I do is I talk to the customer, but at the end we take all that input, and then we have the kind of the final agenda. And then before they travel, I talk to them. I walk them through it. I walk them through the agenda line by line, and I explain we made changes because of this and this and this. They were like, wow, you did that? And I go, yes, we're listening. We want to really prepare and make sure that this time is really impactful. And that's great because then they're pumped. They're ready. They're listening. They're reading. They're doing their homework. They're preparing. We're all preparing for this CAB.
And you talk in the book about having building in time into the agenda, not
Yes.
just to stand up and basically to throw up slides, but
Right.
also have time in terms of discussion time.
Oh, those are the best. That's the best. The breakouts, the hallway conversations, the tap on the sign when you're getting coffee, all sitting next to people, changing up the seats. That's important. All those
And
little things.
and you talk about having you go into the detail about how to have the room set out.
Yes, yes.
You also talk in the book about having one of the people arrived and you could tell that they were a smoker. So you
Mhm.
actually found somebody else who was a smoker to go out to have a cigarette with them.
Right. Well, because they were upset customer,
Yes, but
and
you
you knew
went
that.
to
Mhm.
but the thing was that you covered that base because
Yes.
if you've got people having a conversation in a room drinking coffee and someone
Right.
goes outside,
Right.
you
Right.
you you want to cover that in terms of that getting that
Yeah.
person, wasn't it, and
Yeah.
having a conversation with that person so that you go into a real finite amount of detail about how to run these things.
Yes. So it's not, and I want to address this. It's not about money. Okay. It's not about spending tons of money. It's about building content. My cabs, I don't spend money on big fancy hotels. I mean, these days people don't have those budgets, but I do spend time on preparing our clients to be ready to talk to our customers. And I prepare the customers as well.
So what are some common mistakes?
Oh, well, okay. One is too many slides.
Yeah.
They feel the need to like show, 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 show. It's all about them. No active listening, no pausing, no discussion, no learning, no wanting to learn from the customer. That's pretty much number one that people do. Number two, people want to do virtual, which I totally understand, but they want a 3 hour virtual customer advisory board. That's not going to work out. People are going to tune out. So do them in smaller series and actually walk them through ahead of time. So there's a lot of prep
Yeah.
about that as well, even video. So people are like, wait, this feels like as much as I'm flying on a plane. Well, yeah, but we really need that hour or that 90 minutes. There might be only 5 board members, right? And then you're always squinting. I don't know me. I'm squinting. I'm like, what did that person say, right? And it's really hard. You want to have this high engagement. So another really one is right now, a lot of people go, oh, let's just add it to the conference, and let's do it at the end, because then they came from the conference, they're all pumped up, and then we're gonna ask some questions and they're gonna help us validate even better. Well, actually, that turned out to be a in my there's a case study where I did this at a Gardner event, and everyone was just tired, and I had to intervene. I had to say, okay, this is not a good time. Please take the snacks. Please take your flight. We'll come back to you. And we turned that into a virtual cab.
Right. But you can imagine sitting in a meeting saying, "Oh yeah, what we'll do is we'll tag a customer advisory board on
Yes.
the end of a conference because
Right.
we're all in San Francisco,
Right.
and then actually 3 days in at a conference in San Francisco, we're tired. We don't
Yeah.
need a customer advisory board on top of that."
So you could do one ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
You could, but you have to really think. You have to think. I think six months in advance at least, because you really have to make sure that people are going to take that time. That's a lot of time. That could be almost a week if it turns into flying. So it may be
how do you find the right customers to attend a
that's
customer
good
advisory?
question. Well, we trust, of course, our sales and our CSMs to give us, the customers who are much more in tune and sharing their roadmaps with us, our business goals with us. But what I do too is I take those names and I do some research. I figure out if they've been in past cabs. That could be a plus or a minus, right? Because all cabs are built differently. Seeing if they're social, what their personalities. One time I had a cab during a hockey playoff, and we had some collegiate players. We had other. So I rolled in at happy hour. I rolled because it was like the finals. So I rolled in a flat screen, and they were able to watch the game. And the hockey people were enjoying the hockey, and that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you have all these wonderful experiences.
So in terms of selecting the right customers, is that because you select them because they spend the most, or what is it?
No, that's a thank you. Yes, of course, people go, let's bring the biggest. Yes, but actually, if you want to look at your total, who you're selling to, right? You may want some enterprise, you may want some C-suite, you may want a brilliant engineer who has been just, banging the heck out of your software, your hardware, right? And you like their feedback. And all those cross, personas bring more than just say, I want the whole C-suite. There's nothing wrong with that either. So if you want to do that, you have to switch it to be more business and think about the future, right? You have to think about your audience. But I think having small, different sizes, mid-size, small, enterprise, that's interesting, because another thing is, so you worked at Oracle, right, Tim?
I did.
Right. And so maybe Glasgow cannot move as fast as maybe a mid-size or a small business. So they can talk about how they are early adopters of new products or new solutions. And that enterprise, GSK, can say, hey, how did you do that? And what would it be like if you might be from a small lab. How did you do that here? Was it okay? Did you need QA to get involved? Things like that. So hearing stories from people that are early adopters, and then the big folks that are moving and taking, it might be slower, but they're scaling out. All those stories help each other, help all the board members and the executives learn. Wow, what do people really need?
Should executives be involved?
Yes, definitely. But let's make sure that there's not like 10 or 20. Make the profile like 3 or 4 customers and then 2 executives, or 10 customers and maybe 4 executives. Something of that. You don't want more executives and less customers, in other words.
I remember one customer saying to me that they didn't like companies that hunted in packs.
Yes, that's the feel. That's exactly that feeling. You don't want them to feel overwhelmed. You want them to have the room.
Yes, and it can be, it's organizing meetings where you get the right number of people, and also having that, where it's like when you've been for an interview and you've got one set of people sitting one side and one, and you've got this us and them situation. You don't want to have that.
That's right. That's right, Tim. You hit it on the dot. And I'm really sorry about my internet, by the way.
But hey, no worries. We've not lost anybody, Irene. So in fact, we've gained 2 since.
Woo!
Okay. So how do you measure success?
Okay. Well, this is a good one. So there's hard KPIs and soft KPIs. And of course, everyone's like, well, did we make money out of this? So number one, you don't, I should have mentioned this. This is a problem. We don't want this to be a sales function. You do not want to be walking into building a cab as this is sales. We're going to close X sales. So hang on a second, put that aside. And first think about human connection, long-term strategies with your customers. Who could you pick up the phone? Who can you have a quick dialogue? To me, that's number one. Of course, the marketing, the advocacy, having them speak at analyst events or speak at your conference or do a keynote. Of course, yes, I'm in marketing. Absolutely. That's why we do it. But what's really important is having those executives build those long-term relationships and vice versa. So maybe there's a 1-year term for the customer advisory board member, but I pick up the phone 11 years later, 17 years later, and I have conversations with these people. Hey, I'm going to be in Florida. Didn't know if you're around. Could I see you? I mean, or I've been thinking about going to this company. They're actually customers. I ask them, like, what's the company like? What's the culture like? These types of conversations, if you can imagine, executives are thinking of maybe buying companies or building a partnership. They can ask their customers about that too. Okay, so back to the hard numbers. It is true, once customers, and if you do this right, cabs build trust, you have that connection with executives that go, okay, I've spent X millions of dollars. Now I understand how this business is run. I like the leaders. Yes, they will naturally and organically buy more or ask for more demos. Maybe they didn't before and they like it now. They're thinking, okay, I'll make a future investment. But to me, that's not what you do when you walk into building a cab program.
Yeah, I remember, as I say, taking GSK to Redwood, and the client had a whole list of objections, and we got Larry Ellison's number 2, as he was at the time, to basically come down, and he just went through, and he just had the presence. He didn't do any prep because he didn't need to, because he knew the subject, and saying these are the problems we're having, and this is why we're having these problems. And the problems that they're having, because they were from IT, they understood that those were problems and they were solvable, and it just turned it around from, yeah, we might spend a couple of million to, okay, yeah, we will spend a couple of million.
The key is if you can work with your executives to be vulnerable and when to be vulnerable in a cab, can actually flourish and bring growth to your, not only your company, your brand, but your culture too. Everyone wins if you can do this. If you can be like, look at Larry, he was open. He needed help. People are like, we're natural. We want to help people. That's what a cab is about. But you need to first build trust and human connection.
Irene, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your book. Building a World-Class Customer Advisory Board, or CAB, how to create deeper relationships and validate strategies. I really enjoyed it. I've run CABs, and I kind of felt, as I was reading it, I kind of felt that I was there.
Thank you.
And so you're welcome. So Irene, if we wanted to buy a copy of this, where could we get a copy from?
Amazon. There's actually small bookstores that have it, so you can walk into your small bookstore, and also Barnes & Noble as well.
Oh, excellent. And Irene, where can we find you?
I have a website. It's ireneyam.com, or it's LinkedIn is the best way to find me, and let's connect.
Excellent. Thank you, Irene. I really appreciate you coming on, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you so much.